Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to transfer our beautiful Zoe onto our piece of paper. I'm using a white charcoal pencil, which is really just in my view, a pastel pencil. Because obviously we can't use the graphite pencil, it's not going to show up on the anthracite color Pastelmat that I'm using. But if you are using a sand color or any other color, light gray, anything that the graphite would show up on, then obviously you can do it the other way, which is rubbing the back of a graphite pencil onto the picture like I am, but just using that and not a so-called charcoal pencil. I'm just making sure that I'm covering everything. I want to make sure that I get all the details in that I need. And I'll hold it up to the light just now, and hopefully I've got everything in. I do want to make sure that I get in quite a bit of that blanket, because it has that sort of little pieces that are woven and cut off. I'm not quite sure what that is called, but I do want to get some of that in and make sure that it looks authentic and very, very similar to the gorgeous photograph that Karina has allowed me to use. Blowing off the excess. So I've marked where this goes down. I've marked just the corners so that I know that that is where my picture needs to be. And I'm going to hold down the one side and I'm going to start tracing it through, and then I'm just lifting up the side to make sure that I am getting a good tracing, and I am, so that is good. And I just want all the detail, so all these sections of shapes and color changes, I want that on my paper. Make sure that all those changes that I see in terms of tonal values and the shapes that they are. So as this is fur, I'm making marks, except obviously around the eyes, because those are orbs and they're very, very particular in their structure. They're not like fur. I'm just going to do the edge of that blackness on the inside of the eyeball, and then obviously we want to get the pupil in, and we want to make sure that we have all these highlights in. Shame, she is just so sweet. I mean, look at that little face. So trusting. She knows that she's in good hands and that she's been saved. Sweet little baby. So I'm just making sure that I'm going around and just getting this eyeball shape in, and all the changes that I see with regards to either fur or shadows or whatever it might be. So obviously the eyes are in the skull, and we want to make sure that we show that, or we achieve that. It is a beautiful glass globe inside the skull area. Just getting these shapes in for the nose, making sure that I have all the areas, all the shapes in where the color changes. Those are called the South African alarm clocks. I don't know if you heard those. They're hardy-dars, and they are very, very noisy. They're absolutely beautiful. They sort of shimmer in the light with all sorts of beautiful colors. But man, they make a dreadful sound. Just end up having a heart attack when sometimes when out of the blue they decide to just shout like that. But yeah, they are South African, so we love them no matter how much noise they make. So this is quite a complicated eye on this side because those highlights are kind of across the pupil, and it's quite a tricky sort of shape, that highlight. We're going to do our absolute utmost to represent it and to achieve it. And I just want to get this in because this is the fur change, the hair growth, the fur hair growth change. And this is what we want to get in. We want that fur growth direction. We want to make sure that we achieve that. You can see that it's going that way and then it goes that way. So do observe and study your fur direction when you are tracing it on like this. Or if you are doing it freehand, make sure that you are studying that direction, that fur is growing, and it's really important. We'll be following that direction and making sure that it looks authentic, because if it doesn't, even though the viewer won't know, the brain will pick up that there's something that is not quite right, and it'll throw them off of your drawing. So we want to make sure that we have the fur direction going in the right way. Let's get all of this in around this cute little face. Let's see how far I've gone around. I need to get all of this in here. We have a change in tonal value around the bottom here of the chin. Just want to make sure that I get that in. I don't know if it's mating season, but now the geese are going crazy. The Egyptian geese. I'm sure you can hear that. I'm not sure if my microphone is picking that up. But oh my gosh. Got a lot of going on outside here. Just putting that in. This is all black here. Just making sure the eyes are going to be the most important thing for me on this drawing. Just getting in all this change of shape, shadows, tonal value. There's a big change in the middle here, that the hair is obviously the way that she is lying. So the fur has separated, and you can see that it looks like her skin is that beautiful dark color. Now these feet, or these may be her hands in fact, and they are just so delicate and so pretty. So I want to make sure that I get that detail in. A lot of tonal values going on here. In fact, there's a lot going on with these feet. So I lift up and see that I have everything almost in, and then the blanket comes across this side, and we have a tonal value going on over here. All I'm doing is I'm just going around some of these marks and putting them in, so that when I do this blanket, I know where the grid is, and I know where these bits of lovely fluffy things are. There we go, getting it all in. Making sure this part is quite dark. So I just want to demarcate that. Got that in. This is all blanket. I just want to get in some of this blanket on this side too, so that we know that that is blanket. I don't know if I've gone that far down. No, I haven't. So that's fine. The rest of this is all blanket. And all the different tonal values that make up this blanket. Okay, so I think I just want to make sure that I do that. I just want to remind myself that this is all this baby, this beautiful baby, and that is not blanket. Obviously, when I'm drawing or going through the photograph as I'm drawing, I will see that, but I just want to remind myself. Sometimes when you in the drawing, you actually get lost and you forget. Quite remarkable. Okay. Okay, I think that is done. I have the top of her head. I just want to put in a little demarcation there just for the blanket. That's all the dark stuff, so making sure that I've got that right. So that is done. There it is. It is on the paper, and now I just want to make sure that I have my marks in place so that I know where, not quite that my drawing ends, but I know that this is where my mount is going. My mount will go over this by 5 millimeters all the way around, and I know I'm safe when I do mount this, because this will be going to Karina for her to auction off to make some money for Zoe. So now I have my picture, I have it transferred on there, and we can start with the background.